If I was forced to buy an iPhone, I would buy the new 11 Pro Max. Yes, it's insanely way too expensive, and yes, it's still performing poorly on some essential features, but it's also a great phone on some parts. See my test with pros, cons, price and 3 great alternatives. I'm a sucker for phones with big and great displays. Big displays phones simply improves my overall phone experience. It's just a shame that the new iPhone 11 Pro is such an expensive phone. It's way more expensive than the best alternatives on the market. But Apple has finally improved on a couple of essential features, so it's not as brain dead to buy as earlier. It's still brain dead to buy when I compare to all the other phones I have tested during the years, but it's not as brain dead as earlier. Enough talk about brains. Design. It looks like it's been sneezed out of the nose on iPhone XS Max. That's a saying in my native language that means it looks just the same, but only on the front. The back looks different, mainly due to the camera setup. Pictures before the launch shocked many people because the design on the back looked horrific. And it actually also does in real life. The camera box is a bit above the phone and the camera lenses are a bit above the camera box. That's not elegant. When the phone is lying on the table with the screen upwards, then the phone tilts around when you press the screen. 11 Pro Max is also a bit longer, wider, thicker and heavier than the XS Max. With that said, it's still lying safely in my hands. It's not a slippery phone. And the back on the new iPhone is also made of materials where you cannot see disgusting fingerprints. You can see that on the XS Max. The display is 6.5 inch big and now Apple call it Super Retina XDR OLED. It's basically the same screen as on the XS Max, but the brightness level can be up to 1200 nits. That's a lot and higher than on most 4K TVs. This makes it optimal for watching HDR content. The screen to body ratio is actually a bit smaller than on the XS Max, but I bow in the dust. It's an amazing display. It's great for reading news, watching movies, playing games and so much more. One last thing, it's nice to know that the display on this phone is the most durable on any phone ever, according to Apple. The phone has the new A13 Bionic chip from Apple. It's powerful, extremely powerful, no doubt about it. The user interface runs smoothly and apps and functions are opened immediately. However, most people will not have any reason for all that power, and older A chips would be more than enough, but Apple do not offer less powerful chips on new iPhones. You can only choose the most powerful and also the most expensive to develop. What I want to say is you pay for something you really don't need. But the upside to this is that you know in 3-4 years time this phone will still be fast, unless you buy the 64GB memory version. Because that's another unfair step from Apple. Why not start from 128GB instead of 64GB? Of course I know why. Apple wants to press you into buying the more expensive version with 256GB memory, or maybe even the insanely priced 512GB version. Okay, let's stay positive. The Face ID has been improved. It works like a charm from more narrow angles and in the dark. Not only sort of half dark, no, really dark. That's nice. I would love to have seen Apple's take on a fingerprint scanner under the screen just out of curiosity, but in real life I don't miss it. Speaking of dark, the new dark mode is also a welcome feature. It's not specific for 11 Pro Max, it's an iOS 13 feature, but nonetheless it's nice for the eyes in the evening. The 3 cameras on the back takes great pictures. The colors are mostly spot on, there's a nice sharpness on the pictures, portrait pictures have fine bokeh effect. The wide angle function is nice for landscape pictures. We also have a night function that by default is activated, and the phone decides when it should be used. You can turn it off, but it's a pretty bizarre and user-unfriendly process. There's 2x optical zoom, but in real life it's not that nice a function. Often I have to zoom more when I want to zoom. Then there's of course the Slowfie function, selfie videos recorded in slow motion. The function is, as mentioned, called Slowfies, a serious contender as the worst word 2019. The best low practical but maybe most essential news and upgrade on 11 Pro Max is the improved battery capacity, almost 4000 mAh, completely unheard of in iPhone land. This gives you 5 hours more effective usage, a small step for smartphones maybe, but a big step for iPhones. The poor antenna quality still has a negative effect on the battery life, but the battery life on 11 Pro Max is indeed catching up to the best competitors. There's an 18-watt charger in the box. That's also the first time that happens for iPhone. It takes around 30 minutes to charge the phone from 0 to 50%. The last 50% takes around 1 hour and 20 minutes. Pretty slow compared to the fastest Android phones, but way faster than on previous iPhones. The price level for iPhone 11 Pro Max is around $1,450 or around 1,200 euros. No matter what angle you look at the price from, that's insane, because it still has some major drawbacks. The SAR value is very high and much higher than on the most direct competitors, and the antenna quality still sucks. In cities you probably won't get a poor mobile coverage unless you live in concrete buildings or have environmental friendly windows in your house or apartment. In the outskirts with long distance between antenna base station, there's a high risk of losing the connection, which means poor voice quality and slow data speed. The poor antenna quality also means that the phone has to use more power to stay connected to the mobile network. This means it uses more battery. Do we like using more battery, Apple? Let me think. More battery versus less battery. No. The huge notch on the top of the screen looks outdated today with the water drop solution or more eye-popping pop-up cameras on other phones. It's not fair to start from only 64GB memory when there's no memory card slot. The phone system and pre-installed apps use around 10-11GB, and the first 3 random games I downloaded from Apple Arcade are 2 3GB big, and after 1 day I have used around 1/3 of the memory on my 64GB version. There's no way this phone will last for a long time, and it forces me to buy an even more expensive version of 11 Pro Max. Finally, it's heavier, more heavy than other phones with bigger displays, and almost 50 grams heavier than Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. If you don't have a tree with money instead of leaves, there are other, better and cheaper alternatives. It's nice that we can finally put some of the cons on the Pro list. The improved battery life is really nice. The included fast charger in the box, thumbs up. The camera is among the best on any phone, and the display is simply amazing. But there are still too many drawbacks on this phone, and the price is horrifying. As I said in the beginning, if I was forced to buy an iPhone, I would buy this. But I'm not forced, and maybe I look brain dead, but I'm not completely brain dead. So I would simply buy a different and better phone. Did you like this video? Then subscribe to our channel and don't miss out on future videos like this. Also remember to visit smartphonesrevealed.com for the latest and best prices on new smartphones.